The Lord's Prayer, also known as the Our Father, is one of the most well-known and recited prayers in Christianity. It is found in two Gospels, Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 to 13, and Luke chapter 11, verses 2 to 4. This prayer is taught by Jesus as a model for his disciples. Let's conduct a detailed study of this prayer based on biblical accounts. Biblical context. Matthew 6 verses 9 to 13. This account is part of the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus teaches about various aspects of Christian life, including prayer. He instructs his disciples not to pray like the hypocrites, who seek attention from others, or like the Gentiles, who believe they will be heard because of their many words. Jesus then presents the Lord's Prayer as an example of sincere and God-focused prayer. Luke 11 verses 2 to 4. In this account, one of the disciples asks Jesus to teach them to pray, just as John the Baptist taught his followers. Jesus responds by teaching the Lord's Prayer, similar to what is found in Matthew, but in a shorter form. Structure of the prayer. The Lord's Prayer can be divided into two main parts: petitions that glorify God and petitions related to our human needs. Glorification of God. Our Father in heaven. O recognition of divine fatherhood. Jesus begins the prayer by recognizing God as Father, which implies a close and personal relationship. Calling God Father was revolutionary at the time, as it emphasized the intimacy and love between God and humans. O universality. The term "our" reflects the community of believers and the idea that God is the Father of all who follow him. Hallowed be your name. O reverence. Here, the prayer focuses on the holiness and reverence due to God's name. To hallow means to recognize the sanctity and greatness of God. O acknowledgement of God's holiness. This petition is for God's name to be treated with the proper respect and reverence by all humanity. Your kingdom come. O desire for God's kingdom. This petition expresses the longing for God's kingdom to be fully established on earth, where his justice, peace, and love prevail. O messianic expectation. Reflects the expectation of the fulfillment of messianic promises, where God would reign over all. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. O submission to God's will. Here, the petitioner expresses the desire for God's will to be done on earth as perfectly as it is in heaven. O alignment with God's purposes. This petition demonstrates total surrender to God's sovereign will. Human needs. Give us today our daily bread. O daily dependence. This petition acknowledges continuous dependence on God to provide for daily needs. O physical and spiritual sustenance. Although the focus is on physical sustenance, it can also be understood as a request for spiritual nourishment. And forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. O forgiveness of sins. This is a request for the forgiveness of sins, recognizing that all are sinners and need God's grace. O responsibility to forgive. Jesus teaches that the forgiveness we ask from God should be reflected in our willingness to forgive others. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. O spiritual protection. This petition is for protection against temptations that lead to sin and for deliverance from evil. O recognition of human frailty. It is acknowledged that without God's help, we are susceptible to sin. Doxological conclusion. In some traditions, in many Christian traditions, the prayer ends with a doxology. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Although this conclusion is not found in the oldest manuscripts of Matthew, it was added later and is used as a final affirmation of faith in God's power and sovereignty. Practical lessons and applications. A relationship with God. The Lord's Prayer highlights the intimacy we can have with God, treating him as Father. A spiritual priority. It teaches us to prioritize God's glory and will above our own needs. A dependence on God. The prayer underscores the need to rely on God for our daily, spiritual, and physical needs. A importance of forgiveness. It emphasizes the importance of both receiving and granting forgiveness as a reflection of God's character. A divine protection. It acknowledges that we need God's continuous protection from the forces of evil. The Lord's Prayer is more than just a simple prayer. It is a model that teaches us how to relate to God and to others. It is a prayer that covers every aspect of life, from worship to daily needs, forgiveness, and spiritual protection. It calls us to a life of faith, dependence, and submission to God's will.